And I just don't think at this time it's the worst catastrophe that MSF has ever encountered, even the times that we have been killed and attacked in the field. There's kind of nothing that compares to the scale and level of atrocity of this as something directed against us. And I just can't stand up in front of a room full of people without mentioning it right now. So, what happened, in the middle of the night, everyone was sleeping. There were patients and medical staff in the night shift, and bombs began falling on the hospital. No one knew what it was, just explosions. And after it stopped, the hospital was largely in ruins. 10 minutes later it began again, and then the team noticed that there were planes going overhead. So it was only by the second round of bombing that we realized that we were being attacked by an air raid. That went on for 30 minutes. The hospital was more or less razed, and not a single bomb fell anywhere else. Everything hit our hospital. It didn't even hit the other buildings in the same compound. So very quickly thereafter, there was a statement from the United States military that there had been an attack on some insurgent targets and that maybe a hospital nearby had suffered some collateral damage. No, there was only damage to the hospital. There was not any damage anywhere else. And when we pointed that out, rather pointedly, it then emerged that the Afghan government had decided that there were Taliban insurgents inside the hospital and had asked the U.S. to bombard the hospital. And the U.S. said, well, we certainly didn't mean to bombard a Doctors Without Borders hospital, and they probably didn't. But they accepted a set of GPS coordinates, didn't bother to check them against the GPS coordinates that we give them regularly, and we've just done it, very recently. We'd given them again the coordinates of where we were working in our hospital, and they bombarded it anyway. And since that came out, MSF has been quite clear that stating that it was thought that there were Taliban insurgents in this hospital, and that on the instructions of the Afghan government, the US had actually bombarded that hospital, is tantamount to the admission of a war crime. Because bombarding a hospital intentionally is a crime of war. There's no mincing of words about that, and I don't think you'll ever have heard anyone at MSF being quite so explicit about such a thing. Bombing a hospital intentionally is a war crime. And that's what appears to have happened this weekend. So, yeah.
Was it drone attack or manned aircraft?
Well, I don't think any drone could possibly have managed that. It was obviously large aircraft going overhead. So it's we don't know. We don't keep track of what kind of munitions people are using in these wars, particularly. But if I had to guess, it was manned aircraft. Nevertheless, this is these are. It was pretty precise. It didn't really destroy anything but our hospital. Yeah. So concretely, I would like to ask something of all of you, which is that we actually have a Twitter campaign and a Facebook campaign because we do not accept that the Afghan and US governments investigate themselves. We don't feel that's sufficient. We feel that an independent investigation is the only route to any kind of closure for this incident. And so if you look for the hashtag independent investigation, or Kunduz, K-U-N-D-U-Z, please forward that. Please tweet that, please Facebook it. I know so a lot of people have actually just put independent investigation hashtag on their social media home places. Please do. We would like the entire world to rise up as one and say this is not acceptable, and we would like everyone who supports us and who cares about medical impartiality and who cares about humanitarian principles to stand up and say there must be an independent investigation of this, because to allow this to be simply written off as collateral damage and to say that, oh well, stuff happens when a hospital, the only hospital for an enormous population in the midst of a horrific war, is deliberately destroyed, that's just unacceptable. So please take a look at the statements that have come up. Google independent investigation. We're here at Facebook, so please go to your Facebook page and forward all of the information about this to all of your contacts, as we'd like the whole world to know and to state that this is not acceptable. So I don't want to do a moment of silence in a mapathon, because that's not what a mapathon is about. A mapathon is about getting some work done. So let's help some people in memory of those who died.